This video is for educational purposes. Everything you'll hear in it is sourced from the internet and available in the public domain. Hello friends, greetings, and a very warm welcome. I hope you all are doing well. Today, I'm going to tell you another gripping story where the criminal also made an unusual demand before admitting guilt. This is another tale of a serial killer, but this one is unlike any other. This is the story of a child who was branded a serial killer at just 8 years old. In fact, he holds the record for being the youngest serial killer in the world. The story is set in Begusarai, a district in Bihar, India, in a small village called Mashahari. A very poor family lived in this village, consisting of a husband, wife, their infant daughter, and a 7-year-old son. The father worked as a daily wage laborer, doing whatever he could to support his family. Nearby lived his younger brother's family. In 2006, something strange happened. A 6-year-old girl from the family suddenly went missing. The family, however, did not report the incident to the police. Still, the news quickly spread through the village, as all the village children used to play together. The disappearance couldn't go unnoticed. In villages like this, everyone knows everyone, unlike in big cities where neighbors might not even know each other. A few months later, the family's 8-month-old baby girl also vanished without a trace. Again, the police were not informed, but the news spread like wildfire through the village. People began to feel uneasy. Within just 6 months, 2 children from the same family had gone missing, and a sense of fear began creeping into the hearts of the villagers. Then, only 3 months later, in early 2007, yet another child, a 6-month-old infant, disappeared. But this time, for the first time, the missing child was not from the same family. She belonged to a neighbor. The missing baby girl was the daughter of a woman named Chun Devi, who lived next door to the family whose children had previously disappeared. Her baby, named Khushbu, had been taken to the nearby primary school where Chun Devi was feeding her. She suddenly remembered something she needed to do at home and left the baby at the school, thinking she'd be gone just a moment. When she returned a short while later, Khushbu was gone. Frantic, Chun searched the entire village, asked relatives, neighbors, everyone, but no one had seen her daughter. Finally, she went to the police station in Mashahari and filed a missing person report. This was the first time any of the child disappearances in the village had been reported to law enforcement. Police came to the village and searched for Khushbu. They questioned many villagers, but there was still no sign of the baby. During the investigation, the police learned that 2 other children had also gone missing from the same family. Suspicious, they turned their attention to that family and began questioning them further about Khushbu's disappearance. The story takes a dark and shocking turn from here. After some initial questioning, the family called in their 8-year-old son, Amarjeet Sada. They told the police that if anyone knew anything about Khushbu's disappearance, it would be him. The police were puzzled. How could an 8-year-old possibly know where the missing baby was? Still, they figured it couldn't hurt to ask and might even lead to a clue. When the officers asked Amarjeet if he knew where Khushbu was, he responded by laughing. They repeated the question, and again he simply laughed and said, "Yes, I know." The police found his reaction strange. Every time they asked about Khushbu, he would just laugh and say nothing. He looked around at the faces of the officers and continued to chuckle. The police began to think they were wasting their time with the boy. Still, they kept pressing, hoping he might accidentally reveal something important. Then, unexpectedly, Amarjeet said, "If you give me biscuits, I'll tell you everything." Hearing this, the police bought him a packet of biscuits. Amarjeet opened the pack and began munching away. While eating, he casually said, "I made her sleep forever." At first, the officers didn't understand what he meant. They asked again, and he repeated himself. Now, their curiosity was piqued. They asked Amarjeet where exactly he had left Khushbu. He replied, "Come, I'll show you." He led the officers a short distance from the primary school to a deserted area and pointed toward a bush. "I left her right there," he said. The police moved toward the spot and found a small pit covered with grass, leaves, and twigs. When they cleared the covering, they discovered Khushbu's lifeless body. The officers were stunned. The boy who had been laughing through their interrogation, whom they had questioned simply as a formality, had turned out to be the killer. Amarjeet was immediately arrested and taken to the police station. Even there, surrounded by officers, he continued to laugh, seemingly unaware of where he was or the seriousness of his actions. At the station, when asked how he had killed Khushbu, Amarjeet explained in chilling detail. He had taken her from the school to a remote field, strangled her, and then smashed her head with a brick before burying her in a shallow pit. This revelation brought to mind the two earlier disappearances, both children from Amarjeet's own family. The police began to suspect that he might be involved in those cases as well. When asked if he had put anyone else to sleep, Amarjeet laughed again and said, "Give me more biscuits and I'll tell you." Once again, the police handed him a packet of biscuits. While eating, Amarjeet confessed to two more murders, one of his own younger sister and the other of his cousin. The officers were shaken. They realized they were sitting across from an 8-year-old serial killer who had already taken 3 lives, 2 of them from his own family. Following this shocking confession, the police called in Amarjeet's uncle and his parents to the station for further investigation. The horror of the situation was just beginning to unfold. When the police questioned Amarjeet's parents and uncle, they revealed the full story. They said that about 9 months earlier, in 2006, Amarjeet had committed his first murder by killing his uncle's 6-year-old daughter. He strangled her and smashed her head with a stone, exactly the same way he had killed Khushbu. At the time, Amarjeet was only 7 years old. The family had immediately realized he was the one responsible, because when they confronted him, he confessed without hesitation. About 6 months later, he killed his own 8-month-old sister in the same gruesome manner and admitted to that murder too. The police then asked the obvious question. If they knew Amarjeet had committed 2 murders, why hadn't they reported him? His parents explained that when he killed his cousin, they thought it might have been an accident during a fight. They scolded him and decided to let it go. When he killed his own sister, they beat him and he promised never to do it again. Believing him, and because the victims were all within the family, they considered it a private matter and didn't inform the authorities. Police took official statements from Amarjeet's parents and uncle, but one question remained. Why had he committed these murders? Every murder has a motive, so what drove Amarjeet to kill 3 children? Only he could answer that. When asked, Amarjeet responded in his childlike manner, saying, "Because I enjoy it. Watching them in pain, suffering, gives me pleasure." This answer made it clear to the officers that Amarjeet wasn't an ordinary child. They referred him to a psychiatrist who evaluated his mental condition thoroughly. After detailed assessments, the doctor diagnosed Amarjeet with conduct disorder, a severe psychological condition. The disorder caused him to experience pleasure when seeing others in pain or distress. He had no real understanding of death, murder, or the consequences of his actions. That's likely why he showed no fear or remorse, even at the police station. Eventually, Amarjeet was presented in court. Since he was a minor, he couldn't be sent to prison with adult criminals. Instead, he was placed in a juvenile correction home. However, under Indian law, even in such cases, a minor cannot be held for more than 3 years. Once those 3 years passed, Amarjeet was released. But due to his psychological condition, it was decided he would remain under medical supervision until he turned 18. He was transferred to a juvenile home in Bihar's Munger district. Because he was a minor, No further public information about his case or whereabouts was released. Amarjeet was born in 1998, so he would have been released in 2016. Today, he is likely living under a new name and identity in an unknown city, starting a new life. No one knows where he is or what condition he is in now, but his story left an unforgettable mark, not just in India, but around the world. Amarjeet Sada remains the youngest known serial killer in recorded history. At just 7 or 8 years old, he had taken the lives of 3 children. His name is forever etched in global criminal history. That was the story of the world's youngest serial killer. If you found this story compelling, please like it, share it, and comment with your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future stories. And yes, feel free to follow me on Instagram. I'll see you in the next story. Until then, take care. Thank you very much.